Hey guys, how's it going? It's Matt from Fidelity Gaming TV, and this episode we are going to be focusing on part 3 of 4, the third division out of the new 4 divisions for the 2013 through 2014 NHL season, which is quickly approaching us. So we will focus on in this episode the Metropolitan division. We are looking east now, and remember they have 8 teams per division in the Eastern Conference. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start off with the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes are they're a pretty good team. They're not the worst team. They're not looking at a top 5 pick or anything like that. They got the right players. I think they just need to add a few more in some certain places. So let's start off with offense. You got Eric Staal, the captain. He's a great captain. He's a great leader for that team. He's been there for a while. He's going to continue to stay there. And really, he's a great player, and he deserves to stay there. And so I think if they keep him there, that's going to be good. That's one of the main things they need to do. They got Jordan Staal, his brother, who is also a very good player. That was a great job bringing him into the organization. And then they got Alexander Semin, who's pretty good offense, and Jeff Skinner. So they got a great offense. Goaltending, Cam Ward, he's pretty solid. He can get the job done. He just needs to stay healthy, because if he's not staying healthy, then he's not helping the team out. So I think defense is the biggest part they need to focus on. Offense is good. Goalies can get the job done. If they fix the defense, they can do good. I have them finishing, I think, like 5th or 6th in this division, not making the playoffs. All right, and next up we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, who I think are a team that is going to make the playoffs very soon, possibly even this year. You look at last year, they tied Minnesota for the last spot in the playoffs. None of those teams would have done anything in the playoffs. Minnesota didn't. But yeah, so they fell just short of the playoff spot last year. Over the offseason, they keep all their good players. They got Ryan Murray, finally. 2 years ago, they drafted him, and they finally, after he was injured, they're finally getting him back and healthy. So that's a great defenseman for them. And they got Nathan Horton over the offseason. So they got a great offense. They got a defense that's getting better every day, and a great goaltending setup. So, you know what? I don't think they're going to get a top 3 spot in this division. I think this division's full of too many good teams, but I think that they are going to get the wild card spot. I think they're going to make the playoffs this season. And hey, maybe they'll be the underdogs and take out somebody. All right, next up we have the New Jersey Devils. So the Devils, really, you got to feel bad for them unless you're, a New York Rangers fan, because they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years ago. They lost by only 2 games. They lose Zach Parise via free agency. They don't get anything back for him. Then they don't make the playoffs last year. They do pretty bad. And then they lose Ilya Kovalchuk over the summer because he wanted to retire and go to the KHL. So they don't get anything back for him. And now they're stuck with, some pretty good players, Elias and Zajac, and some others. They just got Yager in free agency. And then they got Martin Brodeur in net. Corey Schneider backing him up. I think he'll back him up. And it's really hard to tell for the Devils. It kind of sucks for them. But you know what? I don't see them making the playoffs this year. Their offense, I don't know if it's good enough. Their defense definitely is, and their goaltending is questionable. So I see them finishing in between the bottom 5 and a playoff spot. Next up, we have the New York Islanders. So the Islanders really did a great job rebuilding kind of secretly, and I don't know if it's finished yet, but they made the playoffs last year. They had to face the best team in the National Hockey League, and they gave them a run for their money, to be honest with you. They took it to 6 games. So that's all you can really ask for if you're going to get eliminated by the best team in the league. So they did really good. They got John Tavares. Evgeny Nabokov, made a step in the right direction. But you know what? It's really hard to tell. I don't think the Islanders are going to make the playoffs this year, just because of the fact that, I don't think Nabokov's, that great, and he's getting older. I don't know if he can be he wasn't even that great last season. He was good, but he wasn't great. I don't know if he can be great this season. And the offensive talent, maybe it's there. It could be. They lost straight to the Flyers, and they got some good players, Grabowski and Tavares, but I think they're going to fall short of the playoffs this season. All right, next up we have the New York Rangers, who, after winning the Eastern Conference 2 years ago, just barely make the playoffs last year. and getting that sixth spot a couple days before the playoffs started. So they did a pretty good job. They beat the Washington Capitals in 7 games, and then they played pretty good. So this year, though, what are the expectations? They don't have Gaborik anymore. It's kind of funny. Gaborik went to Columbus, and Nash went to New York, so they ended up replacing each other in the long run. But how are they going to do this year? Hendrik Lundqvist is an outstanding goaltender. I think he got second in the Vezina votes last year for goaltenders. He's doing very good. I think he's going to do good next year. The defense, I think, is very good. Del Zotto, hopefully he can have another good year. If the offense keeps going, if Mike Richards keeps going, Alain Vigneault, the new coach, if he gets him going, I think he will. I see the Rangers finishing second in this division. Next up, the Philadelphia Flyers, who, after making the playoffs a bunch of years in a row, don't make the playoffs last year and actually lose their goaltender, Briskalov, after signing him to a big contract. So, very, very troubling year for Philadelphia fans. Briskalov, he's not returning. I think that's clear. They got Mason and Emery. Mason's going to be the starter. Emery's going to be a backup. And, hey, he can even start if he wanted to. So that's good there. They brought in LeCavalier straight from the Flyers. They still got some key players. Giroux, if he has a better year, he had an off year last year, he can do better. But I really don't think the goaltending is just good enough for Philadelphia. Their defense teaming in, he can only do so much. I think the offense is probably the best part about Philadelphia, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They'll come close to doing it, but I think they're going to finish about 5th in this division. All right, next up we have the Pittsburgh Penguins, and to be honest with you, a lot of people picked them to win the Stanley Cup, but then the Boston Bruins swept them out of the 3rd round in the playoffs, and that was a bit of a shocker there in Pittsburgh, but you know what? They got Sidney Crosby. They got Evgeny Malkin. They got so many good players. Even though they lost Iginla and Brendan Morrow, they have a pretty good team. Great team offensively. Absolutely stunning. Offense is great. Power play is great. Goaltending, though, bit of a question. Do you go with Fleury? Do you go with Vokoun? They're both not playing well as of late. If one of those goaltenders can step up and make a move, I think they can do even better. But I think without a doubt, Pittsburgh is going to win this division, and I actually see them, I think either getting 1st or 2nd in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to go with 1st, so I see them doing very good and making the playoffs. Next up, lastly, in this division, the Washington Capitals. Now, the Washington Capitals got the 3rd seed last year. They won their division after a kind of a shaky start. Adam Oates got them rolling. Ovechkin did pretty good last season. He got a trophy. He's had a bounce-back season after a not-so-good season before. If he can keep going, they got Backstrom still. If Mike Green can stay healthy, they got a good defense. The goaltending, Braden Holtby, and I think they have Michael Neuver still, if I can pronounce that right. But the goaltending's pretty good. I think it's great. Offense is great, and defense has the potential to be pretty good. So, Washington, I see them finishing 3rd in this division and making the playoffs. So if they can just get going in all 3 categories, then I can see them making the playoffs without a doubt. All right, so that was the preview of the Metropolitan Division for the 2013-14 NHL season, which, like I said, is approaching us quickly. Stay tuned for the last part of the division previews. We will be previewing the Atlantic Division, a very good division, and that's just gonna about do it for this episode today. We will see you guys in the next episode, and check out the channel, give us a like, most importantly subscribe. This is Matt signing off of Fidelity Gaming TV. Peace.